Hello, Professor Travis here. Look at this beautiful misty Alaskan scene. This must have been the kind of vista that really inspired Kellen L. Gunness when he was in Alaska. But of course I'm not here mainly to share photographs with you. My real purpose in this video is to teach you a new technique for essay outlining. This is called the question-based essay outline. The good thing about the question-based essay outline is it will tend to help you generate effective topic sentences. Okay, we'll see what that means in a minute. The first step with the question-based essay outline is super easy. I mean, nothing could be easier. You copy-paste the essay prompt question off the assignment sheet. There, easy peasy. What could be easier than that? By the way, you are going to be making one of these question-based essay outlines. On the next page of the module, you'll see a PDF handout that gives you the structure. You can fill out the PDF, or you can create a really similar template in your own word processing file. But yeah, the first stage is just to get that essay prompt question in there. Easy. I want you to notice, now that you've copy-pasted it, that it's a how question. It's a how question. Essay questions for this class are going to be how questions, or they're going to be why questions. Okay. What I want you to do is, of course, you're going to answer the big how question in your thesis statement. Remember, you know this from our last unit, that the thesis statement is a direct answer to the essay prompt question. Most of you did quite well with that in the J essay. But then for the point topic sentences, you have to come up with your own questions, your own how or why questions. Your topic sentences will directly answer your how or why questions. They can't be random, though. They can't be random how or why questions. They have to, your how or why questions have to relate back to the thesis and the essay prompt question, and they should be narrower in scope, because of course a topic sentence it's like the thesis for one paragraph. They have to be narrower in scope than my big how question, but they have to relate to the big how question. So they kind of take a chunk maybe out of the big question. Okay. Now here's one place where you have some flexibility. If you already have an idea for a draft thesis statement, you can write that now. I wrote one. My draft thesis statement is, Il Gunness's discoveries about what defines a meaningful life are relevant to me in 2020 because they give me comfort at a time when I'm having to radically redefine my expectations about safety. Okay, so that's my thesis statement. But let's say you don't actually have a thesis statement. You can start by generating these smaller how and why questions for the paragraphs. And, at first, you maybe even, you don't get the order right, or, maybe they're not closely enough related, but this is supposed to be a flexible process. So you could start with smaller how and why questions, and then from there see, okay, like this one's not related, this one's better related, I'm going to change the order. And then after you've answered your smaller how and why questions, or after you've reconsidered them a few times, reordered them a few times, maybe then you move to the thesis statement. So you don't necessarily have to create this essay outline in a totally top-down way. You don't necessarily start from the thesis statement, but I have a thesis statement. Okay, so then I'm going to write these smaller how and why questions. How does Il Gunness's book reflect the time of its writing? Immediate aftermath of 2008 crash, Great Recession. Okay, so in my answer to that one, which I haven't actually written, there is going to be something about safety, or redefining expectations of safety in the Great Recession. Now, this question, this how does Ilgunis's book reflect the time of its writing, isn't likely going to end up in the actual essay. I'm going to just start my first body paragraph with the answer to this question. So these small questions, just like the essay question doesn't actually end up in the essay, these smaller questions don't actually end up in the essay. They just help you generate point topic sentence. Okay, number 2. So this is like, I'm thinking of this as a second body paragraph. How are Ilgunis's insights into the ways in which we are motivated by fear relevant to me in 2020? So fear relates to safety. Fear relates to safety. Radically redefining my expectations about safety. So I'm doing this redefinition of my sense of safety, with expectations of safety in a context of, COVID-related fear. COVID-related fear or economic insecurity-related fear, or both. Okay, I actually wrote a topic sentence for this one. Ilgunis's insights into the ways in which we're motivated by fear are relevant to me in 2020 in that, you're probably going to have an in that or a because. They have helped me let go of some of the fears that no longer seem so important. Now, remember in the book, he actually has a lot of frustration or disdain for some of the fears that motivate his parents, like the fear that he won't live in a nice house with an above ground pool. He doesn't really think that is a fear that speaks to him. He wants to let go of that. Perhaps I too have let go of maybe the fear that I'll never own a property. Maybe it doesn't matter to me anymore. Okay, why are Ilgunis's thoughts about housing helpful to me in 2020? Well, maybe I can tie that to my letting go of the fear that I won't own a home ever. How are Ilgunis, and then for a fourth paragraph, how are Ilgunis's discoveries about solitude relevant to me in 2020? I like that as maybe a last body paragraph, because here's a point on which, maybe Walden on Wheels is even more relevant in the COVID era than it was in the Great Recession era, in that since we've been, social distancing so much, quarantining even, we have had to really contend with solitude in a way that people during the Great Recession didn't particularly have any reason to do. So perhaps some of Ken's experiences with solitude are even more relevant in 2020 for me than they would have been in 2009 for me. So I'm building up maybe to my most important point. This essay outline has room for 5 body paragraphs, and you might need 5, you might need 4. I'd basically advise you to have more than 3 body paragraphs for this essay. It's a little longer than the J essay. I do want to emphasize again, you are free to argue that the book is not, or the discoveries he claims to have about what makes for a meaningful life, you can argue that they are not relevant to you in 2020. That's fair game. I've gone the other route with this particular outline, but this is just an outline. I'm not telling you that this is the outline. In fact, I don't want yours to be just like this, and I didn't write all the topic sentences because I don't want to give you too rigid an example. What I'm expecting for your assignment near the end of this module is that you do at least attempt a draft thesis statement, and at least come up with 4 how or why questions for point topic sentences, and attempt to answer your smaller questions, and those would be your draft topic sentences. So that's what I'm expecting. I don't expect it to be perfect, and I don't expect that you're married to it when it's done. It can still change. We're at a somewhat exploratory phase right now in our essay work. We're sort of bridging now from exploration to planning. we're at that juncture between where we're sort of exploring and we're sort of planning. That's where we are. But it would be great to keep coming back to your question-based essay outline as you proceed with your process next week too. This is a really nice thing to have. If you have a thesis and topic sentences in place, or at least tentative ones that you can edit, refine, you're really kind of in good shape. You've got the brain and the spine, so to speak, of your argument. Okay, I hope this was helpful.